from the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast. Happy Monday, and thank you for tuning in. Monday, February 10th, 2025. Packed show for all of y'all today. A lot to talk about, including the UK government asking for an iCloud Backdoor to be able to look at people's private iClouds, more Deepseek bans, and some good news. So whenever data breaches happen, whenever we see a successful data breach, there's never a lot of information around what actually happened, how it happened, and so forth. And over the weekend, a whole, two different ones kind of come to fruition. We'll review, discuss, see what we can take away from those, and so much more on this morning's show. So don't go anywhere. Plug in, subscribe, share, like, comment. Let me know what you're drinking this morning, because I've got my double espresso coffee cup. Cheers, y'all. By the way, shortly after this, I'm headed to S4 in Tampa, Florida, to 80-degree weather, and one of my favorite states to go visit. So if you're going to be at S4 this week, please come by, say hi. Let me know what's on your mind. I love to interact with people who tune into the show. So please come by, say hello. I'll have some CyberHub Podcast swag as well, so come by. All right, let's go ahead and get the show going here with the UK reportedly demanding a secret backdoor to Apple users' iCloud accounts. The British government getting more tyrannical by the moment, ignoring a whole bunch of privacy laws that exist, demanding a secret legal demand to Apple to provide it with access to an encrypted iCloud accounts. According to the Washington Post, the demand is known as a technical capability notice. It's a controversial provision included in the country's Investigatory Powers Act. It's not illegal to report on the existence of a TCN. However, the individual target of a notice is instructed not to disclose it and can face criminal proceedings if they do so. The Washington Post is describing the demand as creating a backdoor, allowing British authorities to retrieve all the content any Apple user worldwide has uploaded to the cloud. So significant overreach. I mean, you've seen the British government, right? And so I don't mean to get political on a Monday morning, but there was a time last year where they were saying, if you say something mean as an American online that goes against the British code, they'll try to extradite you to the Brits. The Brits forgot 1776 in this country. There's a sense of privacy for every single user, and American users, global users, anyone outside the UK. If the British government was actually able to get Apple to do this, and Apple complied and gave him users, I would imagine the legal ramifications for Apple from any citizen targeted by the UK who's not British is monumental. Like, I just see hundreds of millions of dollars in jury awarding victims of the British overreach, which they do not have a right to infringe on people worldwide's privacy. Now, why does this matter? And when you look at this as a security practitioner, you understand the overreach when it comes to cyber and privacy. And you understand that threading the needle there, these requests that come from government, that sometimes as a practitioner, you're in the position where a request will come through legal and will require your opinion as a practitioner as to, one, whether or not it's feasible. Number two, what risks exist by doing this? And number three, do we want to comply with this? What are our choices to comply or not comply? Apple, for its end, back in December of 2022, introduced end-to-end encryption for all iCloud accounts. That's why, when you're using iMessage, if you actually encrypt it, if both sides encrypted, the message is encrypted. So there's that. There's been similar arguments made where governments have asked for these backdoors, including Meta's move, where law enforcement and the UK have also asked for a backdoor. Neither the British government nor Apple responded to our request for a comment on the story, but it remains to be seen whether or not Apple bends the knee here. I hope they fight it. Apple historically was known as being a privacy advocate. I pray and hope they fight it and not give in to this tyrannical demand by the British government, which is its own. Deepseek bans continue to just pile high and high and high. So it's not being banned publicly, although in Taiwan, they're looking at it a bit different. In a lot of other countries, from a federal and government perspective, it's getting banned. Taiwan, Australia, and so many others are all currently banning DeepSeek. We'll get into why in just a minute. The proposed bans, which are following actions like the ones in Europe and some UK government agencies, are following the concerns of DeepSeek's user personal information and their prompts, and the fact that they're storing all this information in China. There's a whole bunch of data privacy concerns in Australia, where the federal government directive followed local governments in New South Wales and South Australia, banning government employees from using DeepSeek AI on their work devices. Now, again, people can still use it on the back end, and so forth. Cybersecurity company CyberCX is assessing with high confidence that the DeepSeek AI assistant app collects user information from their devices, stores them in China, and also produces biased outputs that align with CCP, the Chinese Communist Party's strategic objectives and narratives. We've actually seen a whole bunch of that, so I'm not going to reiterate it again on the show. The South Korean Ministry of Industry also banned government employees from accessing it. Palo Alto researchers also demonstrated that DeepSeek version 3 and R1 models are vulnerable to jailbreaking. We talked about that also last week. If you missed any of those shows, go back. The Armed Forces of the Philippines said that if the government banned the use of DeepSeek in the country, will act quickly to protect the integrity of critical infrastructure and information systems. Wiz also exposed a whole bunch of information around the APIs and databases of DeepSeek, but even more, a new audit of DeepSeek's mobile app for the Apple iOS operating system has found glaring security issues. The foremost is it's sending sensitive data over the internet without any encryption, exposing it to interception and manipulation attack. The assessment is coming from Now Secure, which also found that the app fails to adhere to the best security practices and that it collects extensive user and device data. The DeepSeek iOS app sends some mobile app registration and device data over the internet without any encryption. This exposes any data to internet traffic to both passive and active attacks. The teardown also revealed several implementation weaknesses when it comes to applying encryption on user data. This includes the use of insecure symmetric encryption algorithms, 3DS, and a hard-coded encryption key, and the reuse of initialization vectors. What's more, the data is being sent to servers that are managed by a cloud compute and storage platform named Volcano Engine, which is owned by ByteDance, TikTok's parent company. It's all always connected. Checkpoint, for their end, said that they've observed instances of threat actors leveraging AI engines from DeepSeek, alongside with Alibaba's Queen and OpenAI's ChatGPT, to develop information stealers, generate uncensored or unrestricted content, and optimize scripts for mass spam distribution. So again, we see more and more and more. Australia, Italy, the Netherlands, Taiwan, South Korea, India, the United States, including Congress, NASA, Navy, Pentagon, Texas, have all banned DeepSeek from government devices, as I just stated a minute ago. So all of this, you're seeing the pressure kind of come through. The question is, and I've seen a lot of comments on the DeepSeek stuff over the weekend, and I'm really glad to see people push back, because I think when you push back on us as a show, it makes us better in order to dig deeper. Not that we don't already, but this show is really user supported. We don't bring in a lot of sponsors. We're not a very big team. We're very, very small. And so when you push back on us, you make us go out and do better. And your continued support is really, really appreciated. So thank you again for everyone kind of giving feedback. It's done that. And by the way, for several people who've actually reached out privately and even on our YouTube channel or through LinkedIn and X, we are doing something very similar of a study in the OpenAI and ChatGPT, and we'll keep you appraised when we're ready to drop that episode. A U.S.-based construction. Let's move to some data breaches.
There is a security breach.
Love that. All right. So a U.S.-based construction and geospatial and transportation technology solution provider by the name of Trimble is warning customers that its CityWorks product about a vulnerability that's being exploited in the wild. The zero-day CVE 2025-09-4. It's classified as high severity. It's been described as a deserialization issue that would allow an external actor to achieve remote code execution against the target's Microsoft Internet Information Services web server. Now, if you've never heard of Trimble, join the club. I didn't either up until I was getting ready for a show this morning. Trimble CityWork is a GIS-centric solution that organizations like local governments, airports, utilities, and public works agencies use to manage and maintain infrastructure. The product's been used by organizations worldwide. CISO's already added this to their ICS advisory, likely due to its use in the industrial sector. Noted that the city software is incapable of controlling industrial process. It's not directly part of ICS, but it does oversee ICS, so there's risks there. Trimble's patched the CVE, and with the release of CityWorks 15.8.9 and 23.10, so you want to make sure you get those updated. Label maker Avery says that the ransomware investigation they had also found a credit card scraper within the malware. The world's largest suppliers of labels said the ransomware attack in December of last year prompted an investigation. It led to the discovery of a data breach that impacted the information of about 67,000 customers. That's a lot for Avery, folks. A breach notification letters Avery products said a ransomware attack was discovered on December 9th. It prompted an in-depth investigation led by forensic experts. They found an unauthorized actor inserted malicious software that was used to scrape credit card information used on their website between July 18th of 2024 to January 5th of 2025. Wow. The company said in letters provided to regulators in Maine, as well as notices that have been filed in California, Texas, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Iowa. In a letter to Iowa's Attorney General, the company said malware was added to credit card entry form, allowing the attackers to view and scrape the information entered. The ransomware attack didn't affect any internal systems. No big deal, but it did in fact their payment system. And if you're PCI right now, you're looking at this and going, very, very interesting. And you can imagine that there'll be a directive coming here real soon, or a tremendous PCI fine for Avery. I don't think this one's getting swept under the rug by regulators. Hewlett-Packard Enterprises are notifying their employees that the May 2023 cyber attack on the company under Office 365 had stolen some of their information. Filings with the AGs in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, HPE started sending breach notification letters last month. At least 16 people had their driver's license, credit card numbers, and social security numbers stolen. The forensic investigation determined that certain individuals' personal information was subject to unauthorized access. The company says in letters on January 29th, HPE began providing notice to this event to impacted individuals in accordance with applicable law. When asked to share the number of employees affected by the data breach, HPE spokesperson said it's a limited group of HPE team member mailboxes that were accessed, and only information contained there was done. The group behind the attack at the time was Cozy Bear, so we see that as well. The crippling cyber attack that knocked out most of the systems and operations of the Hospital Sisters Health System back in August of 2023 impacted the personal information of nearly 883,000 individuals. The outage in August of 2023, if you can imagine, we're now February of 2025, impacted communication and internet systems, phones, internal applications, MyChart and MyPriva applications, online payments, their website. It lasted for several days. All 15 hospitals in Wisconsin and Illinois, as well as the Prevea health clinics, were forced to implement downtime procedures, but continued to provide care to patients. The investigation into the attack revealed that attackers had access to nonprofit healthcare system networks between August 16th to August 27th, and that they accessed certain files, including PII. HSHS started notifying the potentially affected individuals back in October of 2023, but in August of last year, 1 year after the incident, it said it hadn't yet determined how many people were affected, just showing you how hard forensics can be sometimes. So there's that there as well. A large-scale brute force password attack using almost 2.8 million IP addresses is underway. It's attempting to guess the credentials of a wide range of networking devices, including those from Palo Alto, Avanti, and SonicWall. For those who don't know what a brute force is, it's when threat actors attempt to repeatedly log into an account or device using many different usernames and password until the right combination is found. Once they get that, then they move laterally and hijack the device to gain access to the network. They move laterally. Most of these are from Brazil, followed by Turkey, Russia, Argentina, Morocco, and Mexico. And there's generally a large number of countries of origins participating in the activity in order not to really kind of set off a whole bunch of alarm bells. The devices conducting these attacks are mostly MikroTik, Huawei, Cisco, BOA, and ZTE routers and IoT devices, which are commonly compromised by large malware botnets. So something to keep your eyes on and adjust in your security operations and engineering. Mobile security firms Imperium has uncovered a broad malicious campaign that's targeting Android users in India, attempting to steal their personal and banking information. The campaign included the use of more than 1,000 malicious applications for information theft and differs from typical mobile-focused malicious campaigns by using live phone numbers for text messages redirection instead of command and control servers for one-time password theft. According to Emporium, the attacks are orchestrated by a single threat actor that has used approximately 1,000 phone numbers to harvest user information. The company also identified nearly 900 malware samples associated with the campaign, focusing on users of Indian banks. The company said it found more than 220 publicly accessible Firebase storage buckets in which the threat actors stored 2.5 gigabytes of information, such as SMS messages from banks, cards, and banking details, as well as government ID data, and estimate that 50,000 users have been compromised by this campaign. So something to keep an eye out for and study as these attacks get more and more personal and more targeted. Researchers also discovering a new variant of a macOS malware family that North Korean threat actors have been used in recent campaigns involving fake job interviews, which is, for a country that doesn't have a lot of jobs, North Korea sure knows how to do job interviews. That's kind of becoming their staple here. Sentinel-1 in a blog post revealed Flexible Ferret, a new type of macOS malware not currently detected by Apple security software. Sentinel Lab researchers said Flexible Ferret is part of an active threat campaign dubbed Contagious Interview, in which North Korean threat actors use job interviews to trick targeted individuals into downloading the malwares. Targets are typically asked to communicate with an interviewer through a link that throws an error message and a request to install or update some required piece of software like VCam or camera access or virtual meetings. Again, stuff that seems really innocent, but is not. Additionally, Sentinel Lab researchers noted that unlike other variants of the macOS malware family, Flexible Ferret was signed with a valid Apple developer signature and team ID and contains other elements that make it appear to be legitimate, so it doesn't set off, meaning they've been able to get through the Apple firewall there to do that. GitHub targets Sentinel research observed the latest iteration of the campaign targeting users of GitHub by opening fake issues in legitimate repositories, then tricking them to go through this process. So again, something to keep in mind and get your developers and everyone else aware of in your organization. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live from S4 in beautiful Tampa, Florida. If you're there, come by, say hello. Until then, have a great week. Have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.